got a new lighting setup, but we're thriving over here. We're thriving. Look at all these lights around me. Look, it's orange. It's orange. I actually put 2 gels, one that was yellow and one that was red, in order to make this orange color, because I know color science, primary colors and stuff like that, you know. Hey everyone, you are watching vlog number 4, the first vlog of 2021, and thanks for clicking into the video. I hope you enjoy it. So I have heard that a bunch of people have made New Year's resolutions to read more in 2021, and I am about it. Personally, I've wanted to read more ever since second year, but I just could never find the time with, you know, studying. Ever since 2020 in March, I have had tons of free time, and because of it, I actually got to reading. I burned through a bunch of books in 2020, and here are my top 5 recommendations to add to your reading list for 2021. Okay, so unfortunately, I actually don't have physical copies of most of the books that I'm recommending. Usually I do like to read physical copies of books because I like to see, you know, just how far the bookmark gets through them. But most of the books that are on this recommendations list were actually lent to me, or I lent them out to other people. So you'll just see pictures over here of them because I don't have them right now. Anyways, starting off with number 5, we have Grit by Angela Duckworth. So this book was lent to me by a friend who highly recommended it, and I will throw that recommendation forward. It was indeed a New York Times bestseller for a reason. You've probably come across it, to be honest. I know a lot of people have recommended it. There have been varied thoughts, but the general consensus is that it's been a very positive book. It's very easy to digest and it's very engaging in the way that it's written. I loved the narrative that Angela wrote in. I thought each of the stories and points were clear and easy to digest. And honestly, you could kind of tell that her passion for the subject of grit, which, you know, you'll read more about, really bled through the pages. Like, she is so passionate about grit. It's so easy to tell and so easy to actually get excited about the subject. Honestly, the best part of the book, though, for me at least, was just how easy it was to take away from it and apply it to your life. So for example, the one hard thing rule that she introduces at the end of the book is what kind of led to making these vlogs. Overall, number 5 recommendation, Grit by Angela Duckworth, is definitely worth checking out. I'm sure like someone in your immediate friend circle has a book that you can borrow. So coming in at number 4 is The House on Mango Street. So I actually read this book a few years back, but I reread it again this year. And it was actually recommended to me by one of my favorite YouTube channels. They named their channel after it, so their channel is called Mango Street. Go check them out. I love their tutorials. And the book is pretty different actually. So it's actually comprised of a bunch of poems, or they actually call them vignettes. They're all about or written in the perspective of a young girl named Esperanza Cordero. And you definitely do not lack an engaging storyline even though it's written in poems. The life of this young Latino girl in Chicago is told through poems, and it makes you really reflect on your own life, how it's expressed and how it could be expressed, you know, through words or poems. It makes you feel really artsy. The whole book is really a piece of like artistry. Overall, if you're looking for something different and something that will pull on your heartstrings, I would definitely recommend it. It's a really short read, and so I feel like it's an easy win. It's like an easy complete for 2021 if reading more books is your overall goal. So coming in at number 3 is actually kind of a last minute read for me. So it was recommended by a friend whose purposes was to make me more woke. When Helping Hertz by Steve Corbett and Brian Fikkert breaks down foundational problems that occur when the material rich try to help the material poor. Essentially, the basis of this book outlines how even well-intentioned help can sometimes hurt the people you're trying to help, and even yourself in the process. So from that brief description, you can probably tell that there's a lot of arguments in this book, but they don't leave you hanging. So throughout the book, there are deep and thoughtful questions that are meant to help you discover what the nature of true poverty is and what the nature of a true solution would look like. Steve and Brian also give really practical solutions and frameworks as to how someone can go about helping without hurting. So a lot of these solutions actually focus on how we can be more effective in building up relationships and in helping other people restore their relationships either with their community, with themselves, with their family, and with their friends. So if you're ready to be, or you kind of want to be challenged and uncomfortable while reading a book, I would definitely recommend it. I know that while I was reading it, I was pretty uncomfortable thinking back on the past experiences and the mistakes that I made. If you're into kind of short-term missions trips or short-term relief trips, so for example, alternative spring break trips, this book is so good just to have kind of a bigger knowledge base in order to approach those situations and approach those opportunities with. It's one of those books that kind of make you cringe as you look back to your past, but overall, I do feel more woke that I've read it, and I hope that one day I can actually put it into practice as well. Coming in at number 2 is actually a book that I have right here. It's Future Grace by John Piper. Choosing between 1 and 2 was really close, so just know that spot number 1 and spot number 2, like they're side by side. This was actually recommended to me by my older sister-in-law and my brother, and I ordered it because it was on sale. It was only 19 bucks, so I thought it was actually going to be kind of thin, but it turned out to be kind of a thick boy. It's like 400 pages, which is a lot for me. I don't know if it's a lot for you. So overall, this book is so fire. Like, there's so much content in it. There's so much to be absorbed and to actually challenge yourself to believe for your own growth and faith. Besides exploring arguments for faith and future grace, which is like repeated throughout the book, you know, hence the title. It says that it's the bread and butter of the Christian life. It also includes 7 very practical chapters to help Christians fight sin through the power of faith and future grace. The original book, I believe, put all those chapters at the end, but the revised version that I have here, and that's on Amazon, it actually kind of sprinkles each of the practical chapters after each section of the book. So in a total of 31 chapters, every 5 chapters or so, you'll have a very practical chapter. And I think this structure is really good because throughout the book, I could apply it to my life, especially because it kind of took me like a month and a bit to read. So overall, if you're looking to deepen your understanding of the true nature of faith and the true nature of grace and how they actually work together, I would really highly recommend this book. If you want a challenging book for your faith and one that will help you grow in 2021, I would definitely recommend Future Grace by John Piper. And coming in at number 1, if you've talked to me since March of last year, I've literally not shut up about this book. And if you talk to me, I probably recommended it to you. And if not, I probably was self-conscious or something. I've recommended it to people like multiple times. It is Paradoxology by Krish Kandiah. So I don't have the book on me. It's lent out to a friend. And when they return it, I'll probably lend it to another friend. It was another recommendation by my brother and my sister-in-law. And the title is kind of eye-catching, right? It's Paradoxology. You don't see that word too much. I don't even know if it's an actual word. Essentially what it does is it takes 13 or 12, I actually don't remember, paradoxes found in the Bible about God's character, and it kind of breaks it down, I guess. It explores the arguments, I feel like what the book does really well is that it doesn't always give you answers in each of the chapters. You know, sometimes it does. But what it does is it brings out the tensions that we hold as Christians in our faith and how we're supposed to live with them. If you want a book that will introduce to you more the depth of God's character, I would highly recommend this book. Especially if you're kind of confused as to, you know, how the God of the Old Testament, who's often seen or often read about as very mean and very like callous, versus Jesus, who's all nice and fluffy, like it really brings those two pictures of God together to make a very robust and deep understanding of him. For example, the first title, number 1, is about Abraham, and it's titled The God Who Needs Nothing But Demands Everything From Us. Just that first chapter alone, the title kind of encaptures readers, and it really summarizes what the book is all about. Like, how can God who is this also do this? So how can a God who is loving also like kill people, you know? It's definitely very good stuff to be reading about, especially in 2020. I feel like because I read it early on in quarantine, I was able to, I guess, trust God and deepen my faith in him throughout the lockdown and throughout how COVID has changed all of our lives. So again, if you're interested to read about what paradoxes are in the Bible, or if you want a deeper understanding of God and how he's displayed in the Old Testament and New Testament, I would definitely recommend this book. It's literal fire, and it actually really set me up for the types of books that I wanted to read about as the year continued. Paradoxology overall, it really opens up your eyes to see the beauty of Christ and the beauty of God throughout the Bible, and even in your own everyday life as you, again, live in tension with each of the paradoxes that it explores. Anyways, that is it for my top 5 recommendations for my 2020 reading list. If you're interested in all the other books that I've read, it'll be in the description below. And I hope that in 2021, I'll continue to find time to read and hopefully give you guys some recommendations by June or March or May. You never know. I don't know which one is a half point in the year. If you have recommendations, leave them in the comment section below. I would love to add them to my reading list. And yeah, thanks for listening to my first vlog of 2021. Bit cringe, you know. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next vlog.